I died, choking on my own blood in a midtown alley. The rain mixing with the metallic tang as my ex-mentor's face blurred above me. His whisper, "You should have stayed quiet, Josie," the last thing I heard before the world went black. But death wasn't the end. It was a goddamn reset button, slamming me back into my 26-year-old body, heart pounding like a jackhammer in that same cramped Hell's Kitchen walk-up 2 years earlier. On the night everything started unraveling. And there it was again. That cursed letter, tucked behind the bathroom mirror like a ghost's middle finger. Don't make the same mistake I did. The envelope crinkled under my fingers, the paper brittle and yellowed, as if it had been aged in some forgotten corner of hell just for me. I ripped it open right there on the chipped tile floor, my knees buckling like they had that final night, except this time, I wasn't gasping for air. The handwriting was mine, loopy and frantic, the ink smeared from what must have been tears or sweat or both. "Josie," it began, "if you're reading this, it means you found it early. Listen, Harlan's poison. He's not your savior, he's the snake in the garden. The story on Virex Pharma will destroy you if you chase it blind. Walk away. Burn this. Live." My breath hitched, a sob clawing up my throat, because I remembered ignoring it the first time, laughing it off as some stalker's joke. Too cocky in my reporter's armor to see the trap snapping shut. That was the old me, Josephine Josie Harper. Fresh out of Columbia journalism with stars in my eyes and a chip on my shoulder the size of the Hudson. 26. Single. Scraping by on freelance gigs for mid-tier outlets like the Daily Pulse. Dreaming of a byline in the New Yorker that'd make my deadbeat dad in Ohio finally pick up the phone. New York was my battlefield, gritty streets, overpriced cold brews. The endless hum of ambition that kept you alive or ground you to dust. I'd clawed my way into Harlan Voss's orbit 6 months prior, when he was the hotshot editor at Apex News. The kind of guy who wore bespoke suits unironically and quoted Hemingway like it was foreplay. He spotted my piece on Big Pharma kickbacks, raw, unfiltered, the kind that got me death threats from suits in Jersey and poached me for his team. "You've got fire, kid," he'd said over whiskey at some dive in the village, his hand lingering too long on my arm. "But you need polish. Let me shape you. Shape me." Christ, what a euphemism. In my first life, or whatever you call the one that ended with a tire iron to the skull, I'd fallen hard. Not just professionally. Harlan became my North Star, my confessor. The man who listened to my rants about corrupt execs while we tangled sheets in his Tribeca loft. He fed me leads, introduced me to sources, made me feel invincible. And the Virex story? It was our white whale, a deep dive into how Virex Pharmaceuticals buried clinical trials showing their blockbuster antidepressant, Seraflex, caused suicidal ideation in teens. Kids jumping from bridges. Harlan had whispered one night, his breath hot against my neck. "We're gonna expose them, Josie." Pulitzer shit. But it was all smoke. Harlan wasn't chasing truth. He was protecting his own ass. Turns out, his wife, ex-wife by then, but still pulling strings, was Virex's chief lobbyist. The leaks he funneled me, fabricated breadcrumbs leading straight to a fall guy, me. When I pieced it together too late, confronted him in that rain-slicked alley after a tip that turned out to be an ambush, he didn't even blink. "You were useful, Josie. But loose ends get tied." The swing came fast, pain exploding like fireworks behind my eyes, and then nothing. Until now. I crumpled the letter in my fist, the bathroom spinning like a bad acid trip. Steam from the shower, I'd just taken, fogged the mirror. But I could still see my reflection. Wide green eyes. Freckles dusted across a nose I'd broken in a bar fight sophomore year. Short auburn hair tousled from sleep. Same Josie. But not. Knowledge burned in my veins like cheap vodka. I knew the betrayals. The hidden deals. The moment-by-moment unraveling. This was my shot at payback. And Harlan Voss was going to choke on it. I didn't burn the letter. Instead, I tucked it into the false bottom of my vintage leather satchel, the one I'd bought at a flea market in Brooklyn, stained with coffee from late-night edits, and stepped out into the living room. My apartment was a shoebox, sagging IKEA couch, stacks of notebooks teetering like Jenga towers, a half-dead fiddle leaf fig by the fire escape window overlooking the neon glow of 9th Avenue. It was 2:17 a.m., July 14th, 2023, the date etched in my brain like a scar. In the original timeline, this was the night I'd get the anonymous email from Deep Throat 87, Harlan's planted hook, a zipped file of internal memos on Virex's cover-up.
이대비땐.
Hard. And the jaws clamped. Not this time. I fired up my ancient MacBook, the fan whirring like a chainsaw, and logged into a burner VPN I'd never used before, foresight from a paranoid source in my past life. No email tonight. Instead, I started digging, fingers flying over keys slick with nervous sweat. Harlan's weak spots, his gambling debts to some shady bookies in Atlantic City. The affair he'd buried after his divorce, not with me, the intern before. And that offshore account in the Caymans, funneled through Virex kickbacks. I'd overheard him once, slurring on the phone during a bender. Yeah, wire it to the usual. Voss Enterprises. Bingo. By dawn, I'd sketched a war plan on a yellow legal pad. Step 1. Play the game. Act starstruck. Feed him just enough to keep the leash loose. Step 2. Build my arsenal, anonymous tips to rival outlets. Screenshots of his digital footprints I'd snag from his unlocked office terminal. He was sloppy with passwords. Hemingway 42. Step 3. The kill shot. Expose not just Virex, but Harlan as the puppet master. Twisting the knife so deep it'd sever his career. His marriage remnants. His smug fucking legacy. But revenge isn't clean. Josie. That's what the letter, my letter, had warned. It'll cost you everything, it ended. Friends.
Trust.
Maybe your soul. I shoved the pad under the couch, ignoring the gnaw in my gut. Soul schmoll. Harlan had stolen my life. I'd take his pulse. The city woke with its usual cacophony, sirens wailing, garbage trucks grinding, the distant rumble of the one train as I showered off the night's grime and threw on my armor, black jeans, scuffed Doc Martens, a thrifted blazer that screamed, hungry but hip, coffee from the bodega on the corner, black, scalding, burned my tongue as I hoofed it to the Apex offices in Flatiron, the summer heat already a sticky promise of hell. Harlan was there when I arrived, perched on the edge of my desk like he owned the real estate between my thighs. Morning. Firecracker, he drawled, that Kentucky drawl wrapping around vowels like velvet over barbed wire. Mid-40s, salt and pepper hair artfully tousled, eyes the color of worn leather. Harlan Voss was the devil in Dad's loafers. Heard you burned the midnight oil on that opioid follow-up. Good girl. I forced a grin, the kind that crinkled my eyes just right, leaning in so my elbow brushed his arm. Flirtation as weapon, lesson 1 from the grave. Couldn't sleep. Boss. These stories, they get under your skin. Understatement of the century. His skin was the one I'd peel back, layer by layer. He chuckled, low and warm, dropping a folder onto my desk. Dummy docs. I knew now. Laced with just enough truth to hook. Got something bigger brewing. Meet me at O'Leary's after shift. We'll plot world domination.
O'Leary's.
The same dive where he'd first charmed me. Whiskey shots and whispers. In the timeline that's where the deep throat email buzzed my phone mid-conversation, sealing my fate. This time, I'd sip slow, nod eager, and plant the first seed, a casual probe about his Virex connections. Let him think he was reeling me in. The day blurred in a haze of fact checks and phone tag with sources, real ones. This go-round. Like Maria, the whistleblower nurse from Queens who'd ghosted me before out of fear. Josie? That you? She rasped when I called, voice thick with Staten Island vowels. Heard you were sniffing around Virex again. Girl.
Drop it.
They play dirty. I know, I said, throat tight. In my past life, she'd been my lifeline, spilling docs that proved the suicides. Harlan had her car vandalized after, tires slashed, brakes tampered. She quit nursing, spiraled into pills. But I'm careful now. Meet me? Neutral ground. We linked at a dingy Starbucks in Kips Bay, her hands trembling around a grande latte, eyes darting like a cornered deer. Maria was mid-30s. Curves hugged by scrubs faded from too many washes. Her dark hair pulled into a no-nonsense bun. Look, she hissed, sliding a USB drive across the table. This is the trial data they buried. Seraflex triples risk in under 18s. But Josie, the execs, they got insiders everywhere. Cops, feds, even reporters. Reporters. The word hung like smoke. I pocketed the drive, memorizing her face, the worry lines, the faint scar on her chin from a childhood fall. You're a hero, Maria. I'll protect this. She snorted, bitter. Heroes die young in this town, not this one, I thought, watching her vanish into the crowd. Not anymore. O'Leary's that night was a tomb of polished wood and regret, the jukebox crooning Springsteen like a dirge. Harlan was already 3 fingers deep in bourbon. Tie loosened, sleeves rolled to show forearms corded from weekend CrossFit. To us, he toasted when I slid onto the stool beside him, clinking glasses with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. To empires, I countered, sipping slow. The burn grounded me. So, this Virex thing spill. You got a line in. His eyes gleamed, predatory. Patience, Josie. Sources dry up if you push. He leaned closer, breath scotch sweet. But yeah, high up. Trust me. With my life, I lied. The words ash on my tongue. Trust. The currency of fools. We talked shop for hours, him monologuing on the death of print, me nodding, laughing at his jokes, filing away every tick, the way he rubbed his left earlobe when lying, the flicker of greed when money came up. By last call, his hand was on my knee, proposition clear. In the old days, I'd have gone home with him, waking to promises and pancakes. Now, I begged off with a yawn, citing a headache. His pout was almost boyish. Tomorrow.
Then.
Don't ghost me. Never, I said, stepping into the muggy night. The letters wait in my bag a talisman. Back in the apartment, I plugged in Maria's drive. The files unfolding like a house of cards, spreadsheets of suppressed data. Emails redacted, but damning. Audio clips of Virex suits laughing over collateral damage. Kids' faces and attached photos, smiling school pics turned eulogies. Rage boiled. Hot and righteous. But I tamped it. Emotion was the enemy, strategy, the blade. I fired off an encrypted email to a contact at The Guardian, fictional in my past life. But I'd cultivated her this time. Elena Vasquez. Fierce Latina journo with a nose for scandal. Teaser on Pharma Bombshell. You in? Her reply pinged back in minutes. Hell yes. Details? Soon. I typed. Heart hammering. This was the controversial pivot, leaking to competitors before Harlan could sabotage. It'd paint me as a team player gone rogue. Stir shit in the newsroom. But screw loyalty. It hadn't saved me before. Sleep came fitful. Dreams splintered with Allie Rain and Harlan's sneer. Morning brought a text from him. Coffee? My treat. I smiled grimly. Replying thumbs up.
Game on.
The week unspooled like a taut wire. Harlan fed me scraps, fake memos with watermarks I'd spot now while I wove my web. Late nights in the Apex bullpen, surrounded by clacking keyboards and fluorescent buzz. I'd slip into his office when he stepped out for smokes. His laptop. Unlocked. As predicted. Screenshots of his browser history, searches for discreet escorts NYC, debt consolidation loans. Emails to his ex about hush money, and jackpot, a thread with Virex's PR head. Harper's getting close. Feed her the script. My stomach twisted, but I downloaded it all to a cloud drive only I could access. Evidence. Not vengeance, yet. Then the first crack, Elena's Guardian piece dropped. A teaser on Virex's questionable trials, citing anonymous sources. Harlan's face at the morning meeting was thunder. Who the fuck leaked this? He barked. Eyes scanning the room, landing on me with a flicker of suspicion. I shrugged. Wide-eyed innocence. Beats me,
Boss.
but it's gold. We should double down. He studied me, then grinned. Wolfish. Yeah. We will. You and me. Josie. Partners. Partners. The word soured like milk. That night, over takeout tie in his loft, silk sheets visible through the bedroom door, he pushed harder. You're special, he murmured, fingers tracing my collarbone. Don't waste it on amateurs. I let him kiss me, shallow and calculated, pulling back with a teasing laugh. Slow down.
Cowboy.
Story first. His ego bruised, but hooked. Good. But the letter haunted me. It'll cost you everything. Already.
It was.
Maria called in tears. Virex goons had trashed her place. A warning. I funneled her cash from my meager savings. Anonymous Venmo. Friends like my roommate, Lena Blonde, bubbly barista with dreams of acting, notice my distance. You okay?
Joe?
You're like a ghost. Fine, I'd lie. Chugging Red Bull to chase the nightmares. Fine was my mantra, the lie that kept the dam from breaking. By week's end, the wire snapped. Harlan cornered me in the stairwell, bourbon on his breath despite the hour. Guardian piece you're doing? I blinked, feigning shock.
What?
No. Bullshit. His hand clamped my wrist, hard enough to bruise. I made you, Josie. Don't fuck me over. The pain shot up my arm, a preview of the alley. I yanked free, voice steel. Let go.
Harlan.
You're drunk. He laughed.
Ugly.
Drunk on truth. Stay in line, or you're done. I fled to the street, pulse thundering, dialing 911 before reason kicked in. No cops. They'd bury it. Instead, I holed up in a 24-hour diner on 8th, nursing coffee and plotting escalation. Controversial move number 2, go public with his harassment. A discreet post on my private Twitter, now X, whatever, tagging Me Too Pharma. When your mentor blurs lines? Who watches the watchdog? Vague enough to sting, specific enough to trend. It blew up overnight. Apex HR called me in. Harlan conspicuously absent. MS. Harper. This is serious. The suit droned. A balding drone named Pritchett. Mr. Voss denies. Of course he does, I snapped, laying out timestamps. Witnesses. Lie detector my ass. I had the bruises blooming purple. Suspended pending investigation. Harlan's email followed. You little bitch. You'll regret this. Regret? Honey, you have no idea. Suspension hit like a freight train. 2 weeks unpaid. My byline yanked from the site. Whispers in the group chat turning to crickets. Lena found me that night curled on the couch. A pint of Ben and Jerry's melting in my lap. The TV droning some true crime doc on pharma scandals that felt too on the nose.
Yo.
Talk to me, she pleaded, plopping down with her legs tucked under her, smelling like vanilla from the coffee shop. Lena was my anchor in the storm, roomy since freshman year. The yin to my yang. All optimism and bad rom-com quotes. I wanted to spill it all. The death. The do-over. The letter that was my own suicide note from the future. But how? Just. Office politics, I muttered, scraping the spoon against the carton. Harlan's on a power trip. Her blue eyes narrowed, freckles standing out under the lamp's glow. That creep? I told you he was eyeing you like fresh meat. You need to lawyer up.
Yo.
Lawyer. The words sparked something feral. In my past life, I'd been too broke, too trusting. This time, I had a nest egg I'd squirreled away, freelance scraps invested in crypto before the crash, a windfall from a tipsy stock tip at a bar. Enough for a shark, Rebecca Klein, civil rights attorney with a rep for eviscerating media misogynists. I called her at dawn, voice steady as I recited the stairwell script. Harper? As in the Virex leaker. Rebecca's voice was gravel and grit, smoker's rasp from years in courtrooms. We met in her Soho office that afternoon, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the cast-iron sprawl. Her desk a war zone of depositions. Mid-50s. Silver-streaked bob. Power suit in emerald that matched her no-bullshit vibe. Bold move. Going public. But Voss? He's Teflon. Connected. I know, I said, sliding over photos of the bruises. Time-stamped. But he's sloppy. And there's more. She arched a brow as I dangled the bait. Not the full Virex bomb, but Harlan's emails. Redacted to protect Maria. This could bury him. But Josie, retaliation's a bitch. You ready to burn bridges? Bridges? I'd torch the whole damn city if it meant justice. Do it. Rebecca moved fast. Filing a complaint with the EEOC and leaking to Variety. Apex editor accused of assault amid pharma probe. The internet erupted. Cancel Harlan trending. Talking heads on MSNBC dissecting toxic masculinity in newsrooms. Harlan's response? A smarmy statement via PR. Deeply troubled by these allegations. Apex stands for integrity. Integrity.
I låghet till hurt.
Alone in the apartment with takeout lo mein and a bottle of cab sauv. But the high faded quick. Virex's shadows lengthened. My super buzzed up, claiming anonymous complaints about noise, code for intimidation. Then Elena texted, "Heads up, Voss is shopping dirt on you." Old DUIs? Exes. Exes.
Shit.
There was Tommy. The college flame who'd OD'd senior year blamed me in his goodbye note for pushing too hard on his habits. Harlan had dug that up before, twisted it into unstable. I countered with a preemptive piece on Substack, Why I'm Fighting Back, a journalist's reckoning, weaving my bruises with Virex's sins. Anonymized nods to Maria's data. It went viral, 50K views in hours. Retweets from Gloria Steinem's account. Power surged. Electric. But the letter whispered doubts. It'll cost you everything. Lena proved it that weekend. We were at our usual haunt, the Rusty Nail, a dive with sticky floors and $4 mimosas, when she dropped the bomb.
Ja. I
gotta move out. Her voice cracked. Eyes red-rimmed. Rent's killing me. And, with your suspension. I found a sublet in Bushwick with this actress gig.
Guilt knifed me.
Lena wasn't just a roommate. She was family. The sister I'd never had. Crashing on her couch after Dad bailed. It's not you. I rushed, gripping her hand. Harlan's goons. I know. She squeezed back.
Fierce.
But I can't be dead weight. Promise you'll call?
No ghosting.
Promise. We hugged, her perfume clinging like a ghost as she left. The apartment echoed that night, empty save for the hum of the fridge and my racing thoughts. Cost 1, isolation. Next, Harlan struck back Monday. Rebecca called. He's countersuing defamation. The works. Claims you fabricated for clout. My blood iced. Countersuit meant discovery, his team combing my life. Unearthing the letter if they got creative. I burned it that night in the sink, watching flames lick the paper. My past self's words curling to ash. Don't make the same mistake. Too late. I doubled down. The deposition was a circus, sterile conference room in Midtown. Harlan across the table in a Tom Ford suit. His lawyer a weasel-faced prick named Ellis. MS. Harper. Ellis simpered. You allege assault. Yet no police report. Convenient. I met his gaze, channeling every ounce of grave-born steel. Fear isn't convenient, Mr. Ellis. It's survival. Harlan smirked, but his eyes darted, nervous. Good. When they grilled me on sources, I stonewalled, protected, but inside. Panic clawed. Maria had vanished. Phone disconnected. Apartment emptied. Virex's reach. Post-epo. I tailed him. Controversial? Hell yes. Stalking's a line I swore I'd never cross. But desperation breeds devils. From a rented Prius, cash.
No plats.
I shadowed his Audi to a seedy casino in Atlantic City, the boardwalk lights blurring in the dusk. He lost big, $20K in an hour. I clocked from the shadows, then met a goon in a trench. Envelope exchange. Hushed words. Bookies. Leverage. Back in NYC. I funneled it to Elena. Voss deep in debt. Ties to Virex funding his habits. Her reply, explosive. But proof, coming. I hacked his email, not ethically. A dark web tutorial from a burner forum. Phishing link disguised as a settlement offer. His inbox spilled. Pleas to Virex for loans. threats from lenders. Jackpot squared. But the twist got punched. Buried in drafts, an email to my past self's address. Dated the day after my accident. Josie, sorry it had to end this way. You were the best mistake I made. Sent. Unsent. A ghost message. He'd planned it. Grieved in code. Love or loathing. Rage blurred to something sharper, obsession. I needed the full confession. Plan C, seduction. The oldest trap. I texted him. Post-soup buzz. Truce?
Drinks.
My treat.
He bit. Olirius redux.
This time, I wore the little black dress from our first night. Hair loose. Vulnerability painted on.
Harlan, ipurret over chin.
This war's killing me. What if we team up? Real story, Virex. All of it. His eyes lit.
Hungry.
You trust me again? For the truth?
Yeah.
Lie tasted like bile. But his hand on mine felt electric. Memory's cruel joke. We ended up at his loft. Clothes shedding like sins. In the dark. His body familiar yet foreign. I whispered questions between gasps. The debts. Virex helping? He mumbled yes. Sloppy with lust. I recorded it, tiny voice app on my smartwatch. Hidden. Evidence gold. Morning light filtered through blinds as he slept, snoring softly. I slipped out. Dress rumpled. Soul heavier. Cost 2 pieces of myself. Sold for scraps. But the files synced to my cloud, his voice. Damning. They own me, Josie. But we could own them.
We.
The pronoun stung. Was there a sliver of him that cared? No. Focus. Revenge. Elena ran the tape anonymously to ProPublica. It dropped Tuesday. Editor in Pharma Paola scandal. Harlan's face on every feed. Resignation by noon. Virex stock tanked 15%. Congressional hearings announced. Maria resurfaced via text. Saw the news.
Safe now.
Thanks. Josie. Elation crested. Then crashed. Harlan's call came at midnight. Voice shattered. You bitch. It was you, all of it. Prove it, I said.
Cold.
I loved you. The words hung. A noose. Lies don't age well. I hung up, but sleep evaded. The letters echo. Maybe your soul. Soul searching came courtesy of Dad's voicemail. First in years. Josie saw the news. Proud? Or in over your head?
Click. Proud.
The word I'd chased since Mom's cancer took her, leaving me with a man who drowned grief in Bud Light. I visited Ohio that weekend. Impulse drive, rental car chewing miles to the Rust Belt flatlands. Dad's trailer sagged under kazoo. Pabst cans lining the porch like sentries. He looked older.
Gaunt.
Eyes milky with cataracts. Girl, he grunted, handing me a Coors from the fridge. You always were a fighter. Like your ma. We sat on lawn chairs. Fireflies winking in the yard. Talking past the silence. I failed you, he admitted. Voice gravel. After Ellen. Checked out. Tears pricked unbidden. I know. Forgiveness? Not yet. But the drive back to NYC clarified. Revenge wasn't just Harlan. It was reclaiming me. Apex folded me back. Heroes welcome.
Corner office pending.
But the hearings loomed. My testimony key. Subpoena arrived crisp in mail. Josephine Harper. Witness. Harlan vanished. Rumor had him holed in a Jersey motel. lawyered to the gills. I prepped with Rebecca. Scripts memorized, but nerves jangled. Controversial 3. Perjury risk. I'd embellish if needed, say, imply Virex ordered the assault. No proof, but plausible deniability. Ends justify. The night before. Dream haunted. Alley rain. But this time I swung the tire iron. Harlan's face crumpling. I woke screaming. Lena's ghost in my head. Who are you becoming? The congressional hearing chamber in D.C. was a pressure cooker, mahogany panels sweating under Klieg lights, air thick with perfume and paranoia. I took the stand in a tailored navy sheath, hair pinned severe. The kind of armor that said, "Don't fuck with me." Chairman Whitaker, a silver fox from Texas with a drawl like molasses, leaned into the mic. MS. Harper, you've alleged systemic corruption at Virex Pharmaceuticals, enabled by media complicity. Walk us through it. Flashbulbs popped like gunfire as I launched in. Voice steady. Weaving Maria's data with Harlan's tape, exhibits cued on screens for the C-SPAN crowd. Seraflex isn't medicine. It's a death sentence for vulnerable kids, I said, projecting slides of those school pics. Faces frozen in innocence. Gasps rippled. A senator dabbed her eyes. And insiders like Harlan Voss? They profited while families buried their children. The room ignited, reporters scribbling frenzy. Virex's counsel objecting shrill. Hearsay. Libel. But Whitaker banged his gavel. Eyes steel. Overruled. Continue. MS. Harper. I did. Dropping bombs. Harlan's emails. The Paola trail. My assault as retaliation exhibit A. Bruce photos elicited winces. The tape played. His voice tinny and incriminating. They own me. Twitter, X, exploded in real time. Virex takedown trending global. By recess, I was a sensation. CNN wanting exclusives. Book deals whispered. But Harlan lurked in the wings. Post-testimony. As I navigated the marble halls, a shadow detached. Him. Gaunt in a rumpled Oxford. Stubble silvering his jaw. Josie. His whisper stopped me cold. Security a beat behind. Stay back, I hissed. Hand up. Heart jackrabbiting. Just hear me. Eyes bloodshot. Pleading. It wasn't all lies. I protected you. At first. Virex threatened my girls, my daughters. I fed you scraps to throw them off. Daughters. I'd forgotten, twins. 10. From the marriage. A chink in his armor I'd never exploited. Guilt flickered. Treacherous. Protected? You killed me. Harlan. His face crumpled. What? Josie. The alley, that wasn't. Lies. But doubt seated. In my past life. No mention of kids in his rants. Coincidence? Or calculus? Security hauled him. I fled to my hotel. Airbnb in Georgetown, cozy brownstone. Clawfoot tub steaming as I soaked, scrubbing the day's residue. Rebecca called. Nailed it. Virex CEO resigning by morning. Victory tasted flat. The letter's warning echoed. Twist at the end. What if Harlan wasn't the snake? What if? Phone buzzed. Unknown number. Voicemail played. Maria. Frantic. Josie. It's a setup. The data I gave? Tainted. Virex planted falsies, some real. But the suicides? Exaggerated. They're using you to discredit the whole probe. World tilted. Tainted? I replayed her handoff. USB slick. Her fear genuine. Betrayal too? No, Mara wouldn't. Or would she? Cornered? I drove through the night back to NYC. Knuckles white on the wheel. Belt Parkway blurring in tears. Dawn broke as I pounded on Maria's door, still empty. Super confirming. Ladies skipped rent weeks ago. Left this. A manila envelope. My name scrawled. Inside. Confession letter. Her handwriting.
Josie.
Forgive me. Virex found me after a meet. Offered immunity. Witness protection for my boy. If I fed you bad intel. The real cover-up's deeper. Government trials. Black budget stuff. But I couldn't let them win total. The true files are in the cloud link below. Destroy this. Link open to horrors. Declassified docs. Seriflex tested on undocumented migrants in border camps. Suicide rates 80%. Buried by DHS. Not just pharma. State-sponsored genocide. Maria's play. Sabotage from within. Using me as Trojan horse. Rage transmuted to awe. Then terror. I was in too deep. Testimony sworn. Lies by omission, now perjury. Controversial 4. Expose the feds? Whistleblow on a scale that'd make Snowden blush. Or bury it. Save my skin? Harlan's call interrupted. We need to talk.
Coffee.
Neutral. Trap? Or truth? I agreed. Tompkins Square Park. Broad daylight. Bench by the dog run. He arrived haggard. Coffee steaming in paper cups. The kids, he started.
No preamble.
Virex threatened them. School shootings faked as accidents. I played along to buy time. Time for what? Your Cayman account. I snapped.
But softer.
The daughter's photo in his wallet, gap-toothed grins, humanized him.
Damn it.
To expose the real beast, he slid a drive across the bench. DHS Virex memos. Maria's got a piece. This is mine. But Josie, you're the voice.
I
didn't kill you. The alley? Virex hit. I found you. Called it in as mugging. Cover. Memory fractured. Rain.
pain.
But his face, whispering, stay with me. Not, stay quiet. Gasping distortion. My death. Misremembered. Twist gutted me. Why not tell?
Pride.
And fear, you'd never believe. He stood. Shadows lengthening. Finish it. For the kids. For us.
Us. Gun.
But echo lingered. He walked away. I pocketed the drive. World realigning. Back home. I merged files, Maria's, Harlan's, my scraps, into a manifesto, the Seriflex shadow, pharma's packed with power. Sent to Elena. ProPublica. Even WikiLeaks for insurance. But the cost? Monumental. Feds would come, warrants. Rendition whispers. Lena texted. Saw the hearing. Miss you. Come visit. I booked a flight to LA, her sublet, ghosting the fallout. One last act. Anonymous drop to Whitaker's office. The full dossier. The story broke global. Headlines screaming government pharma suicide cover-up. Virex imploded. CEO indicted. DHS scrambling. Harlan? Testified clean. Custody of the twins. A redemption arc in Vanity Fair.
Maria?
Relocated.
Safe. Me?
Vanished Josie. Crashing on Lena's futon. Waitressing for cash. Pitching books under alias. The letter?
Ash.
But its wisdom etched. Mistakes remade. Not unmade. Yet in quiet nights.
Ella.
Sprawl humming outside. Doubt nagged. Was revenge justice? Or just another cage. Harlan's last text. You saved us. Thank you.
Saved.
Maybe. But the alley scar, phantom ache, reminded. Some deaths linger.
Ella.
Was a reinvention kit. Palm trees swaying like drunk influencers. Ocean air salted with possibility. The kind of place where yesterday's ghosts drowned in kale smoothies and yoga flows. Lena's sublet was a sun-drenched studio in Silver Lake. Posters of Audrey Hepburn peeling at edges. Her laugh track from auditions echoing off white walls. You're staying as long as you need, she declared that first night. Uncorking a cheap Pinot. Our feet up on the coffee table cluttered with headshots. New York chewed you up. Hollywood'll spit you out gentle. Gentle. The word chafed. But I leaned into it. Trading Doc Martens for flip-flops. My byline for barista shifts at a hipster cafe on Sunset, pouring oat milk lattes with names like Enlightenment Espresso. Anonymity was bliss. No subpoenas chasing. No Harlan shadow in every alley. The feds? A low-profile deal via Rebecca, immunity for silence. My testimony errors chalked to source confusion. Virex's empire crumbled. Class actions piling. Seriflex yanked. Congressional reforms sputtering but real. Maria emailed from parts unknown. We did it. My boys in school.
Safe.
You're a warrior. Warrior. Hollow title.
Nights. Είδες κρολέκι incognito.
Watching the discourse rage. Josie Harper a martyr meme. Theories wild. Deep state hit. Feminist takedown? Harlan's profile scrubbed clean. But whispers. Quiet life in Vermont. Writing a tell-all on ethics.
Us.
The ghost word haunted. A half-remembered dream where his touch wasn't transaction. Controversial 5, the deepest cut. Reaching out. 3 months in. Buzzed on Rose after Lena's callback for a Netflix pilot. I dialed his number. Blocked no more. Josie. His voice cracked. Vermont chill in the background. Maple leaves rustling? Yeah. Me. Awkward beat. Then, the girls okay? A pause. Soft laugh. Asking about my daughters? After. Everything. Redemption's a bitch. We talked till dawn, halting at first. Then Torrent, his regrets. The threats that broke him. My grave-born fury. I thought I killed you, he admitted. Voice thick. The guilt. It was the only real thing left. You didn't. Forgiveness? Not quite. But understanding bridge mended.
Tentative.
Lena noticed the shift. My smiles less forced. Sleep deeper. Spill, she demanded one hike up Runyon Canyon. Sweat beading on our brows. City sprawling below like a glittering trap. That call? Old flames. Old wars. I confessed fragments, no death. No letter, just the betrayal. The revenge's toll. She listened. No judgment. Hugging me at the summit as hawks wheeled overhead. You're free now.
Joe.
Don't squander it.
Free.
The concept terrified. I pitched my book, Mirrors and Masks, A Reporter's Reckoning, to a lit agent in Brentwood. Memoir veiled as fiction. The Alley a near miss. It sold fast. 7 figures. Option for HBO. By spring, I was Josie Harper again. Panels at South by Southwest. TED Talks on Truth in the Age of Lies. Dad visited set, clean-shaven. Eyes clear. Proud.
Kid.
Really.
Pride.
It fit. Warm as California sun. But twists linger. 6 months post-drop. A package arrived at Lena's. Yellowed envelope. My handwriting.
Impossible burned.
Ashes scattered in the Hudson. Inside. Don't make the same mistake I did. Part 2. Love blinds. He's the snake again. Heart seized. Harlan? Or deeper, me? Looping eternal? I confronted him. Video call.
His cabin cozy behind.
The letter another? He paled.
No.
Josie. I.
Lies.
Or truth. The screen glitched, call dropped. Next day. News. Harlan Voss.
Apparent suicide, Vermont Woods.
Note vague. Loose ends. Authorities ruled itself. But doubts swarmed. Virex remnants?
Feds.
I flew east. Funeral small. Ex-wife stone-faced. Twins weeping posies. In his desk. Another envelope, his scrawl. Josie. If you get this.
Run.
The real snakes in the mirror. I loved you enough to die for it. Mirror. Me. The betrayer? Flash. The original death. My hand on the tire iron?
No. Gasping delusion.
Or was it? Back in LA. I smashed every reflective surface, shards crunching under heel, blood trickling from a gash. Lena found me, rocking amid glass.
Keening. Joe?
What? The mistake, I sobbed. I made it again. She held me. No questions. As sirens wailed distant, cops for the noise. Or more. Epilogue, therapy unpacked it, PTSD. They said. Grave-born trauma manifesting as loops. The letters? Fabrications. My subconscious's cry. Harlan's death? Autopsy confirmed. Overdose. Intentional. No conspiracy. I finished the book. Dedicated to second chances. Flawed as they come. Lena landed the role. We toasted on her balcony. Stars pricking the smog. Dad called weekly. Sober milestones stacking. But in quiet. The mirror replaced. Pristine whispers. Don't. And I wonder, reincarnation. Or madness. Revenge's gift. Clarity. Or curse. Either way. I live.
Fierce.
Unbroken.
For now.
The end? In America. Darling. It's never the end, just the next act.